Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you're able to hear me. Okay, thank you. My name is Vinay Makaji. I think she just introduced. I'm the cloud COE lead. I also do the site reliability engineering at CAP for North America region. We're talking today about CISCO, one of our major clients. It's a technology conglomerate company, right? So we've done a lot of work at CISCO, but today I'm going to talk about primarily the DCP use case, which is a digital cloud platform, and the collaboration with Mongo, right? So concentrating on a small use case, but I want to highlight on how we build these features, what technology capabilities have we used from Mongo, how did it expedite the implementation, what are the benefits that we have from this overall. So looking at the slide next. So digital cloud platform, this works off of any hyperscaler, whether it is AWS, GCP, or even the Azure platform. Primarily it is built with the AWS as a foundational platform, but it works with any hyperscaler. So DCP is an accelerator on the cloud for various reasons, right? It has all the accelerators that you can utilize within the cloud and then expedite your implementations on the cloud. Now, I'm not going to spend more time on the DCP because it is important for us to understand how Mongo and DCP have collaborated here in this specific use case, but very briefly, there's a catalog of microservices, there is reference architecture that you can use, there are 10,000 plus APIs that you can by default use on the DCP, and you were talking about the established patterns on the DCP, right? So there you can, when you start your development on a cloud platform, when you migrate or when you refactor your applications into a cloud platform, there are a lot of challenges, right? You will not be able to kind of understand what development starter kit are we supposed to use, how do we build that, do we have to do another design, is there a reference architecture, etc., etc. So many problems is what DCP solves already ahead of it. And the collaboration with Mongo, by default Mongo is the database that we adopted onto DCP. There are reasons why we have done, so I'll go through that reasons as well. Going to the next slide. Again, the solution approach is very simple, right? We want to accelerate the business, we want to digitize the processes, get ahead and stay ahead of things, drive efficiencies. Now, what technologies have we used? Just for a briefing purpose, we have Angular. Now it is 15x, I think it's not 13 anymore. You have the backend Java microservices, Spring Boot. We have all the design patterns included, plus the default database. Again, this is the key thing that I want to highlight. The default database is the Mongo database. The reason why we chose is in the next slide. I'll talk about that now. So the Mongo advantage, right? So when we chose this database, when we are doing the digital cloud platform, when we are trying to, how do I say, Capgemini was trying to work with various hyperscalers and the accelerator-based solutions, we decided to work with Mongo database because of these reasons that you see on the screen right now, which is Mongo allows us to build APIs very dynamically, right? We don't have to spend too much of time understanding how to integrate the microservices and the APIs within the Mongo. They're all out of the box for us. Second, we don't want to go into the object relational model again. We want to come out of that because it makes it easier for us. Third, the ability to store this data, right? The ability to format this into the object oriented, right? So a lot of these microservices that come, whether it is coming from the UI or from the middleware, you have the predefined JSON objects, right? That's what we wanted to store in the database as well. It is very seamless for us to kind of shift and lift into the database, right? So any UI or any microservice that responds to the database or that receives the data from the database, it is easy to exchange the data between these two systems. That's why we have Mongo as a thing. And also additionally, sir, I remember me spending a lot of time in the DML SQL scripts, which is what not anymore required for us. There are other features also on the right hand side to this slide. If you see, right, there are lot of out-of-the-box features like the ops manager, like the time series database. It is more important, it is close to my heart because I am also the SRE lead. The time series database, the graph version of the Mongo, it is very important for us to be able to use. That does not apply here in this use case, but there are a lot of other things. Even the vector search that we talked about this morning, streaming of the data, the other thing that we talked this morning, right? We heard we heard Dave saying all that things about the Mongo that they're launching. So those are the things, those are the advantages that we have. That's the reason we clubbed this with the Mongo database. So now coming to the use case, right? The use case is more on the IT asset management piece. So what, I'm pretty sure you all know the IT asset management. So a lot of these huge companies that procure the assets. Let's take examples as Comcast, or let's take example as Cisco, or any HP, or all these companies have a lot of financial assets. The assets that are financially obligated to the company, they have to manage that assets. That is the use case that we are dealing with, right? What are we doing here? The enabling dynamic data definitions using the digital cloud platform and the flexibility with Mongo. That's more importantly, that is the primary reason behind choosing this platform. Going next on the background of this story, right? Users, I mean, this is a small use case. This is not a huge use case, but you will understand how simply we solve this with the Mongo as a thing plus DCP as a platform. Now coming to the real background, the users here are not able to forecast how the year-on-year asset expenses are there. Let it be business users or the admin users or the tool users, or anybody is not able to kind of do that very easily. There are a lot of Excel sheets, a lot of calculation, a lot of business rules that they would like to run before forecasting anything, and it is completely out of the way, and they are spending a lot of time. It is labor intensive. It is a lot of work for the humans to be able to deliver this. So what we introduced a centralized database. So there will be multiple regions for this companies, right? So there will be west, east, north, all kinds of regions. They have a centralized database on which they can work, which is what I was referring to. DCP services and the Mongo database that is centrally located for everybody to be able to consume the data and present the data to their users, to their business users or to their admin users. I'll show you graphically how it looks like. And then we started using the dynamic definitions, which I was talking about, that the solution has the solution delivery included all kinds of work that we have done that you can see on the slide right now. Plus there are standard benefits that comes out of these simpler solutions, right? I'll take you to the screens next. You will understand what it looks like. So again, the use case of the IT forecast management, you define the hierarchies, you define the data, you get the data, you build authorization, two-factor SSO based authorization, cloud native deployment across the clouds, right, which is GCP, AWS, all OpenShift and other things. So if this is what I was trying to show. Like if you see as a business user, right, define the schemas. If you define the schemas, the data that comes dynamically from the Mongo database will clearly show you on the picture. You can customize that queries, right? On using the Angular UI, you can customize what you want to fetch the data, what kind of data you want to fetch from the Mongo database, and it is really, really dynamic. You're not going to spend time and run queries, pull the data, display it on the dashboard. You don't have to do that. It is very dynamic. Your users are coming onto this dashboard or onto this UI, and kind of with that n-level hierarchy that we defined, the graphical user interface will fetch the data from the Mongo database and then put the data in here. It is real time, very much real time. That's the beauty of this specific use case, and we want to highlight a little bit more on this one. There are multiple use cases that we have done for CISCO on the IT asset management, but this one is very smaller and beautifully done because it did not spend a lot of development efforts. This, to be honest, it was a 3 to 6 week engagement, and then we were able to deliver this because we had the support from Mongo, the APIs, we had the inbuilt microservices, and the interaction with the microservices and the APIs was very simple. The time is also very important. The reason why I'm mentioning 3 to 6 weeks or 4 to 6 weeks that it took is because it is impossible for builder to build such dashboards if the data is not clear in the database. Plus, if your UI is not able to get the exact give the exact commands to the database and get the data out of it, right? So this is another view. The admins view this one, and there are a lot of ways that you can export the data or pull the data. Basic hierarchy, right? Everything comes from the fundamental concept of the DCP, which is the microservices overall plus the database. So multiple views you have. If I have to go to the previous screen, you have the IT forecast management, and now this is also the IT asset forecast management, but the different views. You have to do nothing except for defining that on the UI on what kind of data that you want to fetch from Mongo. So again, going back to the same, sorry I'm repeating this point, that the services that are inside the DCP, the interaction with the Mongo makes it very easier to fetch the data views for the business user. And the life of the business user has become very easy, and they are able to forecast the assets for CISCO within no time, right? Otherwise, the year end comes, they have to spend month effort or 2 months of effort to be able to do that forecast for the next year, which is not anymore the problem. That is the biggest problem we solved with this use case. This is an Excel-like view. If they want to look at it, it's still the data coming from the database. It's still the same UI that they are using. It's just another view of it. And there is a graphical chat view. I talked about the Mongo as a graph, right? Mongo can also show the view in the graphs, but we are using the UI that we built and get the data from the Mongo database. So some more views, declaring private versus public data and approval workflow. There is a workflow also built on top of this one, and then you can do the uploads and the downloads using the Excel sheets. So that's the crux of this use case. I think we can go back. That's all I had on the slides, but we can go back and take the questions slowly. If you want to understand more about the DCP or about the Mongo. The biggest thing that I want to highlight is again the Mongo advantage that we had with the DCP overall. Well, I'll take the question and answers, please. I think I cannot hear you.
Explain us the scope of DCP in the development of such
Sure.
an application.
Yeah, I'll repeat the question. Okay, so the question is, what is the scope of DCP overall? What does DCP do? DCP is a digital cloud platform, as I told, right? It comes with all the inbuilt microservices, and it is an accelerator to any cloud platform, whether it is the AWS or the Azure or the Google or OpenShift or any other cloud platforms, right? It comes with standard set of microservices. It has the pre-built APIs, about 10,000 APIs that can interact with Mongo database, and it also comes with standard reference architecture. Like if you're building a new application on top of Azure, it'll come with the reason why we put all this is because of the agility, right? So we got a lot of new things embedded into that solution, into that accelerator, that you can directly download it as an SDK and kind of build on top of it, right? Everything that you're doing in the digital cloud platform sits on top of any hyperscaler, or you can have your own private state cloud as well. That's it's the same thing, right? So you can utilize that. There are at least industry-wise use cases also. There will be industry-specific leads that can talk about on that a little more, but there are industry use cases that are by default available that you can plug and play on the DCP. So it comes as a accelerator, and it comes as a plug and play system that can connect with Mongo database, or even other databases also if you want to, right? If you're bigger AWS platform, if you have other databases, you can connect to that as well. So a lot of service interaction, and the speed to market is what it solves overall. Any other question? No? Thank you so much. Thank you for giving me this opportunity.